Okay, here we are. Welcome everyone. All right. Obi-Wan Kenobi here, Jason. We are live. If you are here, if you could just say hi in the chat, let me know where you hail from or where you currently are. And as you can see, I've got the T80 painted up here, at least the bottom hull. And it's got a gloss coat on it. So we are going to apply some a wash to the lower half of the vehicle. And I'm going to show you how I do that with these artist oils. All right. If you can hear me, welcome Connor, the native man. Good to see you. If you can hear me, or if the audio and video are okay, just go ahead and give me a thumbs up. That would be great. Double check that we're working okay. All right. I've never been to Maine. Looks like a beautiful place though, from what I can tell. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to start dropping on this this wash. And I want to, let's see here. I want to take kind of a moment to talk about why we do a wash. Kind of two reasons. I think there's really one main reason, but there's another benefit to it. For me, I want to bring out the shadows that for some reason are not as drastic as they are with the vehicles in their 1-to-1 scale. So I think that we're trying to exaggerate those shadows that we would normally see on real vehicles. Okay, and then the second reason really is, just it adds a little bit of grime, and it appears to be somewhat going towards a little bit of like weathering, okay? But that's kind of a different animal kind of altogether anyway. Okay, great, thumbs up. Thanks so much. Thank you, Connor. All right. So yeah, what we're gonna do is use the Winsor and Newton line, and I'm gonna add some terpenoid. And if you're not familiar with terpenoid, it is a relatively odorless version of turpentine. Turpentine is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very strong, basically, very strong. And strong in terms of its smell, but also it's very strong against paint. So it's too much. Terpenoid is much more relaxed in terms of how it affects paint. And so it's the right thing to use for these oil paints, artist oil paints, okay? All right, so let's just dig right in and go for it. And what I like to do is just add a bit of the black to the cup. And sometimes I'll do just straight black. Sometimes I'll do a pretty dark gray. It's just a personal choice, and also depends kind of on the paint that you're trying to exaggerate anyway. And for this one, I'm just going to go with just straight black, okay? Because I'm dealing with a dark green. If it were a lighter color, I'd probably go on, more of a darker gray. But I'm going to use a little pipette here. All right. And get some of my terpenoid ready to go. Just drop it in here. And I'm going to need quite a bit of it. All right, and I do want to close it up. I know it's odorless. I don't think that it's non-toxic per se though, and I've noticed in the past when I just keep working with it that you start to get a little bit dizzy. So it is something I like to just kind of not live with too much. All right. So I'm mixing, trying to get the right consistency. And there's a trade-off, right? So if it's too thick, it's not going to run into the crevice as well, but the color stays there. If it's too runny, it runs into the crevices, but we don't really see a whole lot of pigment. We don't see a lot of color. Ooh. And this is in fact why I have the covering here. Splatters will happen. Okay, so I feel like this is pretty good. Sometimes I like to put it in the corner of the cup just to kind of see how it runs and how it builds up and stays, and I'm happy with that, okay? That's ultimately what I want to have happen to the vehicle. So let's go ahead and apply it here. I am going to, let's do this actually, remove this altogether. All right, great, that'll help. I'm gonna focus on placing it into the crevices first, and then and the wheels and the inside of the wheels as well. And then I'm going to deal with the larger surfaces, okay? I tend to, if we do the larger surfaces first, we tend to ignore all these little areas. So I want to make sure that I'm getting it everywhere that I need it to go. It just helps me keep track of everything. So, like so, I'm gonna let it flow. I'll add it pretty liberally. There's no reason to, there are something that we call pin washes where you're trying to target specific areas. That is not what I'm trying to do with this model. Okay. Pin washes do work well for aircraft and probably other areas on or maybe the upper surfaces of an armor vehicle. But right here down with the tracks and it's just not, there's no reason to be that precise with it. Okay. So I'm letting it kind of get everywhere. If there is an area where there's a lot of delicate pieces, I do have some photo etch right here. I might just avoid those areas or do a pin wash in that specific area. But I think I'm just going to go for it here. Because really, it's not even applying it that's going to cause any problems. Really, it's removing it that can be the issue and can cause you to break very delicate pieces. So, all right. Thank you for joining me today. I know it's not Friday night, but I wanted to try it out and see how it goes on one of the nights of the weekend. So, plus I feel like if it's too difficult to do a particular day, I have every right to go ahead and cancel it. So it was gonna be difficult yesterday. Because real life. So today worked out better. So I might just get into the habit of just kind of bouncing around on different days. It's really important that, yes, I want to do this channel, but it still has to be fun. And the moment it becomes a chore, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the YouTuber Night Shift. He's a very well-known, a very successful YouTuber in the modeling world. And I think it was like last year he decided to go to go pro, basically survive off of his channel and do it in a big way. And that's absolutely commendable. But then, if you're not familiar with him, he put out a video a few months after making that decision to decide, and said, I've lost my mojo, essentially. He was not having the fun with the hobby that he always had. So he had to make some changes in the way that he was running his schedule. And that's totally understandable. Okay, as you can see, I'm just now adding it to the surface anyway. I feel like I want to add, oh, get some splatter. I feel like I want to add a little bit more paint. Yeah, I'm going to add just a little bit more paint. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to apply all of this, and then we're going to have to let it sit. So I am hoping that if I have it thin enough that I can, it'll be dry by near the end of tonight's live stream. And if that's the case, then I can start removing it and show you what that process looks like, okay? Connor, do you apply washes to your models? Let me know in the chat. Or if anybody else applies washes to their models, let me know. I'd like to know if this is something you're familiar with, or maybe this is the first time you've ever seen this process. Maybe you don't do it on every model. This is, for me, this is one of those processes that really changes the look of the model dramatically. You know, to me, it's as dramatic as, I don't know, having the finish bare and then having the finish painted. Like, it's that dramatic of a difference. You do, okay, cool, yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna work. What I wanna do is not worry about this back section because I'm gonna we're gonna get some spray when I deal with the upper hull painting, okay? This is just to take care of the very bottom of the vehicle so that I can close up the side skirts. Okay, that's the plan here. Hopefully, I wish their lighting were a little better, but hopefully you get an idea what I'm doing here. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom. That said, I do always paint the bottom. I always weather it. In fact, for me, it's a nice palette to kind of see what my weathering can be like at the top of the vehicle. It's a great way for me to experiment. So I'll use the bottom of the vehicle for that purpose. I know there are modelers who ignore the bottom of their armor models. And that also reminds me of that controversy we had recently in IPMS Nationals, where a judge was found picking up a model to look underneath it, and there was a lot of people very angry about that situation. Others had, recognized that is an angle of the vehicle of the model to look at, and so there's some different viewpoints on painting the bottom of the vehicle and weathering it. All right. My feeling is to just go ahead and paint it. I think we're just about there. Side looks okay. And I want to make sure, get on the rollers here. Oh, I got to get the wheels on this side. Yeah. And you can go a little heavy on some of it. You can go a little light on some of them. Creates that variation, which is always nice. A lot of variation, though, I will ultimately achieve in the weathering stages. Not even the weathering stage. It's sort of, I'm trying to create different tones in the vehicle. That's, at that point, is where I can continue to add or remove some of these washes. And what's nice, it is difficult to remove everything from the crevices if you make a mistake. but you can always just go ahead and airbrush over it once it's dry. You can also add a seal to it and then airbrush over that. So I've been in that situation where it was too heavy, and if I just thinned my paint, my base color nicely, or if I thinned it well enough, I'll just airbrush just, you know, a couple of shots on that spot, and it lightens up the effect, the washed effect. Okay, so it's not like there's a, you know, no going back. I shouldn't have added any here. I'd like to keep it as free again as from the surface as possible. Let's not worry about that. That'll be fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, that I'll tackle another time. Okay, good. So that's basically it. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. We're gonna let that sit. And now I'm going to move on to the next thing I wanted to tackle today, and that is dealing with tracks. However, I'm noticing a little paint missing in some of these little areas. That's concerning, but I'm just going to plow through, and if I need to touch up at some point after I've weathered these, then I'll just do that after the fact. It's okay. All right. I'm trying to keep these sections separate so that I remember exactly how they go together. This is the left side of the vehicle, this is the right side of the vehicle. And this is a combination of the so-called movable track set, the aftermarket set from Trumpeter. If you watched my latest video, you heard me I was very disappointed with the lack of mobility with these tracks. I've had great luck with Trumpeter movable track in the past. The M1 Abrams, Tamiya, there's a Trumpeter set for that was outstanding. And the connectors, get somebody close. The connectors were, if I remember right, they were that black vinyl material, and there was a lot of give when you apply the connector, so they stayed. These were just straight up polystyrene, and so they were very hard and they slipped off all the time. And so I ended up having to glue them, thus rendering them unmovable. So I don't quite understand what happened there. It's possible that they were, because maybe the set was older, that the polystyrene had somehow dried out. I'm not exactly sure, and that made it maybe harder. I don't know. But anyway, so this is a combination of the aftermarket set and the set of tracks from the kit, okay? And what I want to do is just, I've got a NATO black base here, and I just want to go over it with a couple of different colors to make them look as if they've been through dirt. Ultimately, I plan to have this vehicle on a base and in a scene. It's not going to be a straight up diorama with a plot, but I'm not going to have figures, but I do want to make a tree, and I want to have it on a road and dirt on the side and kind of present it in a place. So I'm really excited about that. But all right. So that said, the question is, at what point do we start weathering the tracks? Because I'll need to make decisions about the ground color, right? And then paint the tracks roughly that color. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to get some level of dirt color on these tracks. And then if I need to make some adjustments later on, which I very likely will, I can do that with pastels. I can also do that again with the artist oils. Okay, so I'm not too worried about matching exactly what I'm going to do in the future. I just need to get something on here so that when I get the side skirts on, at least there's something on the inside. Okay. All right. I want to take one more look here. Make sure the wheels are good. Yeah, it looks all right. There's a little bit more I can do. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to save the black. I can actually use the black to add to this color, and I've got a couple more of these containers here. I'm gonna fly. All right, And I'm going to try to create some different tones. Get out of here. All right. All right, let's get that guy out of here. Okay, so let's, boy, this little insect here happens to like these artist oils, I guess, or the terpenoid. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is let's go with the brown color. Yeah. Okay, and I can go with the darker brown first, and I can do different shades. So let me do that. I'm gonna start with just the brown, and I need my pipette and the terpenoid, which I set aside. There we go. And let's do a little more. Yeah. All right, I'm going to show you how I do this. I think it's a combination of making it look natural, so haphazard, while at the same time having some level of consistency, because these are tracks that are moving through dirt and they're all moving through it, but we don't want it to be one uniform color. All right, if that makes sense. So that's the effect I'm going for. Okay, I can go a little bit on the thicker side with this. I'm not really trying to do a wash. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if I'm just this is even too thin. I think we're all right. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna go for it, all right? I'm gonna work on the outside first. How should I do it? Yeah, I'll work on the outside first, okay? And I'm just dropping the color down, okay? Connor, can you remind me, do you build armor? I mean, you do washes, you said, but is armor your thing, or do you do a combination of things? Let me know. I'm gonna work on the outside first, and it's, you can see I'm trying to add it in certain areas, but if I miss, I'm intentionally trying to miss, actually. Trying to leave some of that NATO black there, okay? Now I might say, well, I'm at the bottom of the track, so I'm not gonna be too concerned. I'll just go ahead and do it. It's all right. Okay, maybe not too much. All right. This will be the top of the track. This will be inside the side skirts, but I'm just gonna go ahead and paint it anyhow. All right, and in some areas a little heavier than others, totally fine. And I'm gonna let those sit just for a little bit while I work on these next ones so I can handle them well. And this is just one of our colors. And I can, I could do 4 or 5 different colors if I wanted. You could do more, you could do fewer. I am intending to, this will be in the dirt, but I'm gonna add a little bit of a silver color. I do have a really nice silver color pencil that works well for this, and just get it on the metal surfaces, or the metal parts of the track, just to give it a little bit of variation. And looking at my references, that was pretty typical of this vehicle. All right, now I'm going to go back and get the inside a bit. Oh, right. Right, you were going, yeah, you were doing that contest. How did you do? How did it go? Contests are so fun. It's just neat to be around other people who are into this, and just hang out, get to nerd out. Okay, going for a haphazard, but yeah. Trying to make sure both sides have it. All right. First place for, oh, I guess what this is. Ohio class sub, I'm guessing. The Ohio is covered up. Cool, man. That's great. Congratulations. All right. Looking good. Trying to keep these separated. And once I'm done here, we'll move on to the next one. The next color. All right, here we go. Good. Now I can let those sit a little bit and let them dry. And if I do, the colors will stay a little bit separate from each other. And if they're wet like this, I can get a little more of a blended effect. And I think the blended is going to be appropriate. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some of the white. And let's see here. What's a better way to do this? All right. Hopefully I'm not getting terpenoid in my mouth. That'd be gross. If I add just a bit of white at first, then it'll give me one shade, and then I can add more white and get another shade. Let's use the paintbrush for this. And I'm using an old paintbrush. Let me see what kind of color this brings. Oh yeah, good. Great. That was light enough. All right, I'm going to continue on here. Oh, fantastic. Soviet Army gas truck. Wow. Great job. That's fantastic. Congrats, man. Yeah, I tend to like just bring a bunch of stuff and just see how they do, you know. It's great. That's fun. All right, just gonna start on the inside here, but I have to remember to get the outside as well. Okay. I'm not trying to cover up everything. I'm still trying to leave some of that black if I can. Okay, I'm gonna flip them over, go ahead and I can decide to blend in some cases. I can just drop it on and let it blend on its own. That's fine too. And if I don't like how they're sort of puddling up and making these circles, and I'm not sure if you can see these little puddles, yeah. Once they dry, I can start to feather and blend them as well, okay? So nothing set in stone yet. This is the nice thing about artist oils, is that they take a while to dry, and even when they're dry, they can be reactivated. And you don't even have to add terpenoid to reactivate them. Just simply moving the artist oils around themselves, they start to move, okay? Which reminds me that once all of this is dry and I've got it all figured out, I will wait another day and then I'll want to add a top coat. Okay. And I'm not going to do any washes or anything like that, right? This is just dirt. I'm not necessarily trying to create shadows of the dirt or on the dirt, if that makes sense. Okay, might need to mix a little bit more. Got some hairs hanging out there. Let's see. Okay, just on the brush. Okay, I don't need to worry too much about the top of this. All right. Oh, I'm hitting the vehicle here with the paint. All right. And Connor, are you working on something right now as you watch this? Ooh. we go. Get the white blended in there. Okay. Still a little lighter. All right. Excellent. Very cool. Good. Yeah, those Tacom kits are just incredible. Built a couple of them and loved them. Tacom and Mang, I think are really just outstanding kits, outstanding kit companies. As far as new companies are concerned. I thought I've only built one RFM, the Ryefield, and it was the Abrams kit, and I found it, I wasn't that impressed. And then I went ahead and just built the Tamiya M1A1, and thought it held up, strangely enough, to the RFM. So that's just my experience, though. I don't want to necessarily knock the company. I basing that all on just one kit. So, all right. I think a little more on this one. Oh, I might have missed the top parts of these. Just double check. Yep. All right. So that color's good. Still. So I'm a big fan of Stephen King, Connor. And I know he's from Maine, Bangor, Maine, I believe, right? Love his novels. All right. So I think that's good for now as far as the browns are concerned. And again, I'm going to do some blending once everything's dry. I just want to get the colors on. Actually, at this point, let's see, what do I want to do? There's a couple ways to tackle this. Oh, the Dragon M1, yep. Okay, cool. Good to know. Dragon M1A1. Nice. All right, I've got a couple things I can do here. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to a lighter gray color now. Let's try to get some of this brown off. And to do that, I'm just gonna add to some of the black here, okay? Let's just do that. So I'm looking for a fairly light gray. I think that'll work. And there's a little bit of brown in here, which is fine, right? Dirt, it depends on where we are, but I look at dirt sometimes and like think about my models and think about, bases and stuff and colors. And a lot of times it looks very gray to me as opposed to not necessarily brown. But again, this all depends on what my setting will be for the vehicle and the base. I'm going to add just a little bit more. Oh no, I think it's okay. Yeah, I keep looking at it on the light. All right, so now it's a little bit thicker, and I'm going to just do the splatter effect on some of these. So if you can take a look here, let's just Model Tank Guy, welcome. All right, good to see you. All right. So as you can see, we're just weathering some tracks here, And let's see how this works. Splatter effect. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip every now and then here, a couple of tracks. Don't have to get it on every single pad. That'll be okay. All right, turn it over. See if I can, that might help a little bit. All right. Again, I'm not too concerned. This is going to be under the tracks, and this section here is going to be at the top of the tracks inside the side skirts. And go for this. And I can also apply it, you know, again, haphazardly. And there's both a consistency to this and an inconsistency to it. So this is where you get to be, you know, fairly creative. And you get to kind of see what your taste is, right? All right. Let's continue on this on the right side of the tracks here. Okay. We'll let these dry once I'm done, and I'll move on to something else. What I'm focusing on now on the T80 is the turret, and it's famous for being one of the most busy turrets. So I got a lot of steps I got to accomplish on this thing. And I'll be doing some of those tonight, I think. Yep. All right, and then we'll see. Hopefully, if these dry in time, then you can watch me sort of blend them, okay? All right, I think I hit just every surface at this point. Let me just double check here. All right, good. Let's do one more. This one, I want to go almost all white. Almost. All right. All right. Well, it's gonna be fairly gray. Okay, let's just do that. And I know that I'm going to blend. I'm going to move things around once it's dry, so I'm just going to go for certain spots, okay? There. Now, I'm feeling like what an area might have neglected was the side of the track, so that's something I'll need to take care of at a later date. Again, this is just so I can get color on the tracks because they're going to end up under this or inside the side skirts. Okay, so this is just to give me something that's This is not the final weathered coloring. Okay, that'll work. And I'm just trying to keep some variation. Okay, I'm losing some of the gray. All right. Good. Fine. All right, good. we're gonna let that sit. All right. Model tank guy, you working on anything tonight at the moment? Oh. These brushes are absolutely dedicated to this kind of work. So I do try to clean them as best I can, but they don't need to be, you know, ready for working with acrylics or something. They're... Oh yeah, great. The U-boat, very cool. All right. Okay, I think that's good for now. Again, try to keep these separate here. Let's just get rid of these at this point. And I want to take a look at the body of the T80 and kind of see where we're at as far as dry. This area, it looks like a flatter sheen, and that's really what I'm looking for. Yes, there is a gloss coat underneath all of this, but the artist oils, once they start to dry, they do start to themselves look flat. Okay, so that's really what I'm looking for. I could speed up the process with a basically like a hair dryer or a heat gun. I do have one, but I'm gonna let it continue to let it air dry. I think we might be good to remove that today or tonight. All right. Okay, let's. I'm gonna get these out of here. I don't know if these will be ready. We'll see. Try to keep them together so I don't lose who goes with who. And it looks like the Turpenoid did seep through the paper towel. It makes sense. All right, I'm gonna wipe it down. Okay, good. All right, paper towels. The best I can here. You can see I've got some glue marks on this. I've only had it for like 3 weeks, and of course, you know, it says up here, it says do not use glue on this, or do not use epoxy, do not use for soldering, do not paint on this mat. Well, all that's happened. So they did have a nice plasticky material that goes over it that you can glue on and paint, and it comes right off. But you know, then I have to like put it on and remove it, and who wants to deal with all that stuff? If I remember right though, the bottom has the exact same pattern on it. So when I'm ready, I'll just flip it over and not worry about it. Okay. Oh, you're doing surface rust. Excellent. What do you like to use to replicate the rust? I remember as a kid, and this, you know, got this from the Shepherd Payne armor books, getting like the you know, the initial shade of red, and then getting some like talcum powder or some sort of powder, and then mixing that in with the paint, and then it would give that sort of texture, that rusted texture to it. And that was a way we liked to do it back in the 80s and 90s. I liked, when I do rust, I typically will do it with artist oils. And I find that adding that same kind of light gray occasionally looks right for things like fender, well, not fenders, I'm forgetting the names. They were like exhaust areas and stuff that would get rusted. Oh yeah, pastels, good, all right. Yeah. Pastels are good. They're good to work with. Again, I find, I don't know if you've had this experience, but pastels, I need to wear protection, respiratory protection with them. After, I remember just like working for like a half an hour, it'd be like, you know, it felt really dry in my throat. So after a while, I was like, yeah, let me protect against that. But pastels are great to work with. Good. Okay. Let me move forward. Here we go. T80 turret so far. A couple things I wanted to tackle. Let me just show you real quick, instruction-wise, what I'm going for. So the turret work really starts with this section here, but then we start getting all the explosive reactive armor on there, and then they move to the hatch doors, and then we start adding some of the pieces, some more ERA, some more ERA, some smoke grenades, some the basket here, and then more ERA on this page, and even more down here. These searchlights. So, and then we get to deal with another hatch and the machine gun. So finally, at this point, you know, we have that much more of the model and then we're done. But you can see the majority of this is just straight turret work. Because I need to keep track of everything really, really well, I decided to just X out the sections that I have done. Need to X out this one as well. Do whatever I can to help keep myself organized. This is done. I'm on this portion now. This is what I'm going to work on now. I'm actually not even sure what this is. I've looked this thing up. It goes on the side of the turret, and I cannot seem to figure out what it is, but it's basically this little box. There are some hinges here, and there's a couple, let me zoom in here. There's a couple of cleanup issues that I'm going to have to deal with on this guy. Again, I'm building, you know, I'm building at a contest level. So, boy, that's having a hard time getting free. So things like seams, you know, we want to decide, are those seams supposed to be there, what they actually look like on the real thing. And this seam is supposed to be here. I looked into it. However, these two pieces here are basically just a pin that just runs across. And as you can see, when I put the pieces together at the points that they've determined, they're a little bit offset. So I've got a couple of options. I can cut these off, these connectors, and put in a position where they line up well. I'm not sure if that's going to cause any alignment problems on this side. I don't really think so. Yeah, I'm not really too worried about that. And I think that might just be the best way to go. The other thing I can do is cut these pieces off and then just add my own thin, like brass wire or something. That'd be another option. Okay. My gut says to cut them off and then just use wire, and I might just go ahead and do that. They can set a little bit high. They actually go like right about here, and so it might look pretty good to have, you know, have these two little pieces. The question I always have to ask myself, right, is the amount of work it's going to take and the amount of time it's going to take, is it ultimately worth it, right? And I think this turret is busy, so I do want to move, but I think little details like this really, you may not even notice it, but there's just this overall look to the vehicle that makes it more realistic. So these are the kinds of things that I like to do. For example, I talked about last time we were, you know, doing this live stream, I was thinning pieces out. And here's an example. This stand, essentially, for these smoke grenade launchers, I guess they are. Yep. this was fairly thick. These pieces here were very, very thick, and I decided to just scrape away plastic, and now they look thin, right? And now they look like thin sheet metal, which essentially they were. So it's that sort of attention to detail, to the sort of delicate nature of some of these parts that I like. You know, that's one of the things I like. You know, I asked a question, I asked a poll question today, or maybe it was yesterday, about what your favorite aspect of building is, and said I think it was like 73% of people said construction, and I agree. And these are the kinds of things I like to add to the construction aspect of building. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that wire. Yeah, and in fact, these parts don't even look like they're misaligned necessarily. Okay, so it's really just these pieces. All right, so let's tackle that. I'm probably, let's see. Oh, active protective system, or it's the infrared system. That is great. Thanks for that, Connor. Okay, I'll do a little more research on that. I'll type that in, and that might be able to direct me towards specifically what it is and what's used for. Yeah, that's good to know. All right. Cool. My finish rust is always pastels, undercoat, it's oils. Great. Yep. No, that's cool, Connor. I appreciate that. I will. I'll see if I can search with that information. All right. Also, you know, the seam. There seems to be like a lip of plastic along here too, and I think they're just trying to show that it's a seam. I don't think it actually needs to have a lip there. Let me do this real quick. I had a picture and I wanted to have it ready and to show just in case. Let's see. Sorry guys, hang on just a second here. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Okay, I don't want to waste any more time on it. Oh yeah, I got it here. Okay, let's see. How can I share this? All right, let's see. It's always something new to learn. All right, rather than losing my video and stuff, I'll just trust me. There is a seam here, and it looks to me like there is, the lip doesn't need to be there, okay? And I'll figure out how to share photos at some point. That needs to happen, obviously. Okay. All right. Just double checked. All right. So there is a slight lip, but I can't decide if I want to do this or not. Yeah, the problem is I've got, you know, this nasty gash here and a nasty gash here. All right. I'll remove it for now and then figure out if it's worth caring about later or not. Just want to have the area cleaned up. All right. All right. There we go. Oh, I'm off the camera. Sorry about that. There you go. Okay. All right, just getting cleaned up a little bit. And the other side. Okay. Why don't you guys let me know if you listen to music or anything else as you build, other than, of course, live streams. But yeah, what do you, or do you just have pure silence? I'd like to know. I will usually have something on. Sometimes it's modeling channels on YouTube. Sometimes it's actually really gotten into watching like live court, which is so strange, but there's some really interesting videos out there of what is called law nerds. So these are people who know the law and are trained, and they'll watch live streams of court cases, and they'll comment on it, or let you know what's going on. But I find those fascinating. I don't know why. My wife and I are really big. We're just generally really big in like true crime anyway. So that's kind of bled over into what I listen to when I'm building. All right. Yeah, music or movies. Yeah. Yeah, I've done movies every now and then. Cool. I'm a big movie fan. I'll watch. I'll watch TV shows occasionally, but movies are like my thing. And so I'll put a movie on, and usually it's almost always something that I already know and I'm familiar with. I'm the kind of person who likes to watch movies over and over, the same ones over and over. And so that it works well, because then I don't necessarily have to watch it. I can listen to it and enjoy it. Oh, you watch model vids. Cool. Yeah, that's great. There's a lot of great ones out there. Model Tank Guy, who are some of the folks that you follow as far as model vids? I mentioned Night Shift earlier in the live stream today, and his success and how he went pro, essentially, trying to do it, his YouTube channel, and trying to have his social media, be his main source of income. And then, after a couple of months, sort of burnt out, as he talked about in a video. Yeah. Go ahead and share with us, Model Tank Guy. Who are some of your favorites? All right, let's keep at this. It's the only problem with these visors. Hit the camera sometimes. All right, I think that's going to be good for now. Let me double check this side. Yeah, I'm a big fan of movies from the 80s and 90s, movies from the 70s as well. And I've always had a special place in my heart for, you know, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, those guys, you know, the 80s, of course. Right now, I think my favorite director probably is Tarantino. I find his films just absolutely riveting. Who else? I like some of Oliver Stone's films. Sometimes they get a little politically heavy, and I'm just like, I don't really want that in a movie. But I find them engaging and very like dramatic and in a really interesting way. I'm very much interested in the way movies are made and, you know, the cinematography and all the tricks. And that, so for me, it's when I watch a movie, you know, I'm not just thinking of like the plot, you know, I'm always like kind of looking around and thinking about blocking and the way the sound is used and the soundtracks. And so if a movie has interesting elements, those interesting elements, I'm in, you know. I'm into, you know, the Die Hards and the Predators and the Aliens movies and all that stuff from the 80s and 90s. All right, and I could rewatch those without any problem. I'm right in the moment right now watching LA Confidential, which has a lot of amazing actors in it, and it's just always just an easy movie to watch. And it just moves a mile a minute. It's just such an incredible film. Thumbs up if you guys have seen that one. Oh yeah, The Beast. Yeah, I've heard about it. I have not seen The Beast, but I've seen a lot. I've seen like clips of it, and every time I see those clips, I'm like, I have to check this movie out. Yeah, cool. Okay, right on, Model Tank Guy. Yeah, that's all right. There are all kinds of different types of videos out there. You know. Oh, free. Okay, good. That's good to know. Cool. I gotta check that out. All right. Yeah, I'll try to do that this week and let you know what I think of it. I've been really meaning to watch that movie. Okay, I'm gonna pop off these little pieces now, but I'll apply the wire at another time. I just feel like it's maybe the kind of delicate work that's too delicate for trying to get on camera. So, but maybe I'll include that in a video at some point too. We'll see. All right, so I'm just gonna dig in with this X-Acto knife. And I think that's gonna be the best way to go about it. Okay. Let's see. Yep. Straight up and down. Yep. You know what? I've got this. Let's see. This is a new tool for me. Where did I put, there it is. Flexifile. But it's that Pakistan brand that I really like. And these are essentially sprue cutters, but I think this is gonna work just fine. Yeah, look at that, great. I was getting a little worried about having to get the X-Acto knife at just the right angle there, but that popped them out without problem. And then I can go at this now with a scalpel or X-Acto knife and just scrape away the extra there. Digging just a little bit. I think my blade needs to be replaced too. Yeah, it's got a little dull there. Let's just work it. All right. Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for new tools and want to give them a try. When you're younger, when I was a teenager, I was just like, well, my father, as a kind of a side business, was a jeweler. And so he had a lot of tools lying around, and he would let me try to work with them and see if they, helped in modeling. But I always remember like trying to make do with whatever I had. And when you get older and you get that disposable income, you're in a position where you can, start putting some money towards your tools and try to find what works. That's not to say, you just need to spend a lot of money on this hobby, but you can spend a lot of money on this hobby. But I still think it's cheaper than other things we could be doing, right? All right. I think that's going to work just fine. Very excited about that. And these I didn't cut down yet, so let's see here. Maybe that's the way to go. All right. Yeah, I'm also into the classic films. The Casablancas and the Lawrence of Arabia. The classic film I'm really into right now and could just watch all the time is Ben-Hur. I just find that movie, it's a long one, but it doesn't feel long when I watch it. I just absolutely adore it. If you haven't seen that one, I really recommend giving it a chance. Charlton Heston and a couple other really amazing actors. What a story that is. I'm also a fan of Hitchcock. Really love movies like Rear Window. The Man Who Knew Too Much, the remake. That one is great with Jimmy Stewart. Psycho's, of course, good, but that, I don't know. It's a hard one to, even though I'm into true crime, that's a rough one to watch over and over, just because of the subject matter. Oh, make sure I'm doing this right. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work. It does look a little more offset now that I've removed that bit. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and glue them. So in preparation of that, I'm just going to remove these little pins. I do not need them here. They're causing misalignment. Let's take a sanding stick, kind of work it down a little bit. Yep, that'll work better. Okay, good. Sorry if I'm off screen. Here we go. All right, I'm going to use good old Tamiya Extra Thin. This gash is worrying me a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to deal with it. I don't think it's something that I could take care of. So I think it's something that just needs to be done once these pieces are glued. I might just fill it in, even though there needs to be a seam. I might use let me remember. Oh yeah, sorry, distracted right now. This plastic putty by Vallejo. This stuff is water-based, and I can put it into a seam and then remove the raised portion of it. And what happens is it'll sometimes shrink, and then it sits in and leaves a little bit of a seam still there. And that actually can be useful for something like this. So I think that might be what I use to just fill that in enough so that there is a seam, but there's no hole, if that makes sense. The other thing I could do is just fill everything and then rescribe. That would probably look the best, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll try the putty first, and of course, if that doesn't work out, then I could keep at it. All right, there are these little points on here, and these are, yeah. Because of the connect, you can see the little connectors inside, right? And they should be hollow. Okay, so I'm gonna make them, I'm gonna cut out those connecting bits and, you know, glue everything together and then probably go with a circular file and round it out on the inside, okay? I was toying about whether it's really that big of a deal. It's probably not that big of a deal, but I was looking at my references and, you know, it's solid. It's there's a hole all the way through it. So I'm gonna go the extra mile and just keep at these, you know, there's a lot going on with this turret. I'm gonna go a little bit by little bit, do the best I can on the pieces. I might get to a point where it's like, that's not worth it, you know, but I haven't hit that moment just yet. That said, let me take care of one more thing here. I did want to drill out a little bit of a hole here for the coaxial gun. And for this, I'm going to want to replace my blade. There we go. Love this set. Picked it up. It's Amazon. It was just a couple of bucks. It's the way to go. I have just 2 of these lying around at the ready. Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of ways to drill a little hole, but I find just, for me, this is the way I do it. X-Acto knife. Try to get dead center. Okay, use the weight of the knife and just simply rock back and forth. As much as I turn left, I want to also turn that much right. All right. And just keep going for a little bit. I've looked at pictures of this gun and the hole isn't, you know, it's not going all the way around. Wait, that's not true. I was looking at pictures of a French, I think a French version of it. I'll tell you what, I'll split the difference. I actually have a feeling that there is a thin lip at the end of this gun, but let's just start here for now. If I need to widen it, I'll widen it. And I think that's good. I'm going to leave it there. I don't need to drill all the way through the gun. I just need to give the impression that there's a hole. Once it's painted, I'll put a little drop of wash there. It'll look great. And that's it. There's not much more to it than that. Okay? So again, another detail that takes 10 seconds, you know, and whether or not somebody actually notices it, I think they would notice it if it didn't have the hole. And it just adds to the general detail of the vehicle. So that's how I do it. I'll get to take a look at my references, see if I need to go wider on that hole. Okay, I wanted to talk about this basket real quick. This is atrocious. It's basically not, these are not rounded pieces, these are flat. It should be flat here. There are like connector portions, but then the rest of this cage should be just rod. And so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Something like this, I've been known to make out of plastic styrene rod, and I've done it successfully. I don't know that I've ever actually soldered or worked with straight up, you know, wire or brass wire or anything like that. I think plastic works really well for me. So if I were to rebuild it, scratch build it, I would use plastic. We'll see. We'll see. That's a little further down the road. Not much further though. It's something I need to figure out relatively soon. Okay, let's return to the body of the T80, and I want to start removing some of this wash. Judging from my thumb here, it looks like it is still wet at the very bottom, but I'm noticing dry on the edge up here. So I'm going to use this as an example, and then I'll leave it to dry and take care of the rest tomorrow. All right, so very simple. I'm going to start with the, make sure we're okay here. I'm going to use this seam here, or explain it. These lines here as an example of what I want to stay and how I achieve that. Okay, so I'm going to remove the material from the upper surface with a Q-tip. Okay, and this surface, and I'm going to push back into that area. Push into the area, okay? And then same here. All right. It's still a little wet there, but that's okay. All right, and then I'm going to take a dry brush and go brush material away from where the shadow should be. Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of, I think it's a hair. I'm gonna, if I really am worried about it, I'll scrape it away and then just repaint that little area. But again, I'm not too worried about the side skirts, but I'm just trying to show you as an example here as to getting the shadow in here. And there you have it. That's pretty much it, okay? So that's if I need to like really pay attention to specific areas, catching that shadow. All right, the rest of this, I'm just gonna try to work delicately around. This piece right here is PE, so I wanna be real careful. Remove most of it with the Q-tip, and then just kick it around into the crevices with the brush. And I can do it just a combination of this. See, it's still wet. Yep, that's what we don't want. But all right, I'll spread it around so it dries a little faster. Okay, but that's how I remove the material. Combination of Q-tip and soft brush. Okay. All right, good. I'm going to leave it there because this is still a little bit wet in certain areas. And I got those thumbprints will go away. Don't worry. I'll brush those away. I want to take a look at the tracks real quick here. See what stage they're in. And they do look a little wet still. You can see. Okay, they shouldn't be that shiny. So there's not much I can do as far as blending. Not yet. All right. Oh, these are left loose so I can deal with them with the track. All right, so that's where we are. Oh, just to let you know, yeah, the wheels are not glued down. They fit really, really well without having to be glued. And I'm always, lately I've said to myself, if it doesn't need to be glued, then don't. Especially with something as tricky as track. I like to be able to have a little bit of play, a little bit of give to deal with those track, okay? So that's how I do that. All right, I think we're in good shape. I'll tell you what, guys, we're gonna end it here. I want to thank you so much for joining me. This has always been a lot of fun. It's nice that it is continuing to be fun. This is my third live stream. You're never quite sure, I think, how it's going to go, but I'm enjoying it. So thanks for joining me on a Saturday evening. Happy modeling. Good luck to all your projects and everything else that goes on with you guys. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? All right. Take it easy. Thanks again.